Welcome, everyone, to another Relate Well Live with Dr. Rick. That's right, Relate Well Live with Dr. Rick. And I am here at my messy home office where I have a lot of library stuff and a lot of my historical stuff sitting behind me there. And so it is good to have you as you join us. And I look forward to serving you in this short time to encourage you in your relationships, to encourage you in your marriage, to encourage you as you develop yourself personally, to become the best version of yourself so that you mature in love and so that you can love maturely. That's right. Now, we're streaming actually on three platforms, and we're on YouTube Live, we're on Facebook Live, and we're also on Instagram. And I've got my right here in front of me, and what I'm looking at, and it's my Facebook and my Facebook and my YouTube, and then right over here that I'm looking at is the Instagram. So I am really looking forward to this segment of Relate Well Live with Dr. Marks. Today we're going to talk about some tips to fix your marriage. You know, a lot of people are struggling to figure out what to do and how to save a marriage. You know, we say in our world there's things you know, and there's things you don't know. So, you know, if you can take all the knowledge in the world, there's things you know, and there's things you don't know. Hopefully you know your name, hopefully you know your gender, hopefully you know your age. You got the concept. And then there's a realm of knowledge of things you don't know. Like I know that I don't know who's watching me right now. I know that I don't know quantum physics. I know that I don't know how to fix a car. All right. Those are things I know that I don't know. The thing is, though, there is a larger realm of knowledge, which is a massive area of things you don't know that you don't know. Now, what's something you don't know you don't know? The answer is, I don't know. And if some of you are going like, huh? It works this way. Before you ever heard my name, saw my name, or saw me, you did not know that you did not know me. And the reason you did not know that you did not know me is because you had no knowledge of me. The moment you gain knowledge of me, however you gain that knowledge, in that moment, I became someone you knew you didn't know. You see, your brain can only deal with the world from its realm of knowledge. And in your realm of knowledge, which is a very minute piece of all the knowledge that exists in the world, in in that realm of knowledge that you actually possess, which is very minute, are the things you know, and things you don't know. And people try and fix their marriages from their knowledge base. They do what they know to do, you see. And if they know something, they try. If it doesn't work and they know they don't know something, they go read books. They learn some things. But there's a realm of knowledge of things they don't know. They don't know. They just don't know yet. And people seek to solve marriage problems from the realm of knowledge, not researching and learning what to do to solve a marriage, just trying what you know. And what you don't know is the things that you know to do, the things in your own knowledge, are actually causing greater pain, hurt, angst, and tension. You know, one of the greatest things I learned in my journey of transformation was to always be teachable. In order to be teachable, I have to live a life of humility. And some of the things early on that I thought would work to fix the marriage, I actually found out didn't work. As a matter of fact, I did not know that I did not know that I was manipulative. I did not know that I did not know that I was passively aggressive. I did not know that I did not know I was more wounded than I realized. And the same with Luella. And so you come into your adult world with this knowledge base, and everybody gets married that you want to love and you want to be loved, and then you don't know how to love well. And so trying to fix the marriage without knowing how to fix the marriage is troublesome in itself. And so we're going to talk about some tips on how to fix your marriage, that if you kind of stick by these principles, then you have the ability to create positivity and reconnect and connection and reconnect if you need to in your marriage, rather than disconnection, more angst and hurt. Now, if you are following me on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, I have a request for you. Would you say hello, or if you have a question, please type it in your comment section there. I am actually monitoring the comment sections for all of the platforms. All right. And so if you have a question or an idea or a thought, right, or even a disagreement, post it. Let's make this interactive. Okay. We are live because I'm not dead. If I was, I'd just be like, but I'm alive. So I'm not dead. So let's interact, ask questions, ponder, think about things we say. If you disagree, it's okay. If you agree, let it be known. If you have a question, ask away. All right, here we go. If you're taking notes, get ready. How do you fix your marriage? I haven't the foggiest idea. I went into the field of marriage therapy, really thinking it would be more of a minister, part-time doing marriage therapy. Didn't realize I'd be doing a lot more of it than I am. And I'm so grateful along the way that I bumped into leaders like Michelle Weiner Davis and Dr. Scott Stanley, and particularly Dr. Lori Gordon. Studied under the John Gottman's work and a number of others. Bill Doherty's work in his discernment counseling, and so there's a number of others. Dr. David Olson, leaders in the field. I will tell you that my 2 master degrees and my PhD, I got a very good education, in my personal opinion. A very good education. But even then, when you get out into the real world of doing counseling, you begin to realize there's a lot of things you really don't know you don't know. And sitting under these giants in the field, people who knew things about trauma that I didn't know, Dr. Jerry Mungazzi, who to me is one of the most brilliant psychologists out there, learning under him and how he was able to take brain science and psychology in the Bible and show you how it all fits together. I mean, I learned so much. Luella said that, one of the greatest gifts that I was given was to sit under some very, very influential people and I studied under them. I learned from them. And I'm grateful that I did. They've invested in me, not just professionally, but also personally. But I remember they'd say something, particularly Dr. Gordon, who I love dearly. She'd say something and it would rub me the wrong way. Yeah, you see. Hello, Carrie. Welcome to you. And if your hubby's with you, it's great to have you. We're actually talking about 8 tips to fix your marriage. So thanks for saying hi. Anyone else tuning in, say hi. Let me know you're here. Ask a question. Okay, so let's get back. But Dr. Gordon would say things, and it was like against the stuff that I was learning in graduate school, or I had learned in graduate school. And something said, trust it. Just hear her out. Test what she's saying. And I'm telling you, folks, there are things that I did not know that I did not know that I needed to know. And I'm so grateful that I was teachable. Same time, there are things that I was doing in my marriage that I did not know that was causing pain. Not overly egregious things. Very subtle, minute ways. Attitudes. Tones. That were hurting Luella. And I did not know that I did not know. And when I got a revelation of it, I realized I've got to change. I got to transform me. And so, it's easier to throw something away We're a throwaway culture today, right? Don't like something, throw it away. Go get another one. Business don't want to employ, they get rid of them, find someone else. We're a throwaway culture. We don't value relationships in Western society anymore. We value winning arguments. We value being right. We value me being right, you being wrong. We value punishing rather than forgiving. We value hanging on to resentment. We value holding you responsible for things you did, but we don't want them holding us responsible for things that we do. So we're going to talk about some things that you can do and don't do that will help you fix your marriage and turn it away from negativity back towards positivity. All right. If you're taking notes, jump in. Here we go. Number one, hang in there. Hang in there. You know, research shows that on average, couples wait 6 years before they go get help. That's 6 years of hurt, 6 years of pain, 6 years of resentment, 6 years of tearing each other down, 6 years of just negativity. And by the time it gets to a counselor or to a pastor, it's pretty hard. There's a lot of resentments and things. Boy, if they come in earlier to get unstuck, you see. One of the reasons that we did intensives, I started doing intensives many years ago, was realizing that somebody wants out, they want to quit, they want to give up, but they had to have hope again. I believe this to be true. And I read this somewhere that was kind of an affirmation of my thinking. Not that I'm brilliant. Most people end up divorcing because one of them or both of them do not believe there's hope for the relationship. They don't believe there's hope for the relationship. And because they don't believe there's hope for the relationship, the only option is to get rid of it. And when you don't know what to do to fix it, you tend to give up. You throw in the towel. It may be that you haven't found the right counselor. It may be that the counselor you're talking to is telling you to divorce. Dr. Bill Doherty, I mentioned him just a minute ago. He's like a Sigmund Freud in the field of marriage and family therapy. And I like Bill. I got to know him personally and studied under him his discernment counseling work. Bill, like I said, it's kind of like a Sigmund Freud in the field of marriage and family therapy. He could get away with this statement. Someone like me could never do it. He coined a term many years ago. You ready for it? Therapist-assisted marital suicide. That's right. Therapist-assisted marital suicide. He points out that the research shows therapists are contributing to the high divorce rate because many of them are pro-divorce and many of them aren't trained in marriage and family therapy. They're training individual models, so they don't know what to do when you're angry with each other. So what they do is put you in individual counseling. Individual counseling to save a marriage increases your divorce risk. Hang in there. Hang in there. Don't give up. If you haven't found the counselor, keep looking. Ask friends, ask your pastor, ask your rabbi, ask your imam. Find out who they recommend. And find counselors who are pro-marriage, not pro-divorce. Hang in there. Now, when you're hanging in there, you've got to learn to do things different, right? You got to know what to do different. Our curriculum, Relate Well, our curriculum is a relationship skills curriculum. We actually teach people how to bond, how to connect, those kinds of things, all right? And so you've got to know what to do different. And in Relate Well, we actually teach you what to do different while you're hanging in there. And while you're hanging in there, learning what to do different, you're gaining hope. So the first thing to fix your marriage is hang in there. Now, you may ask yourself, well, Dr. Rick, how long do I need to hang in there? I don't know if there's a real answer for that, but I give you a principle. When you've done enough, counseling, changing you, whatever it's been, when you've done enough and your partner has clearly sent the message, I don't care and I'm not changing, well, then they put you in a position to have to decide what you want to do. Just if you know that if you have to leave, knowing your own conscience, you've done all that you can do. So the first principle to save marriage, hang in there. All right. Number 2, don't manipulate them. Don't control them. Don't beg them to stay. I'm going to say that again. Don't manipulate them. Don't control them. And don't beg them to stay. When you do that, you give up your power. When you give up, you've turned yourself over to fear. Look, folks, let's be honest. When we notice each other early on in the relationship, when you first meet, it's attraction, not just physical attraction. It might be a smile. It might be a sense of humor. It might be character traits that attracts you. Do you live in such a way that that person is still attracted to you? Or do you live in such a way that they're repulsed by you? Do you live in such a way that you invite love? Or do you live in such a way that you invite anger? Do you live in such a way whereby they want to open their hearts? Or do you live in such a way they want to close their hearts with you? You see, if you want to fix your marriage, you cannot manipulate your spouse. You can't control them. You can't beg them. It makes you look weak. But when you're living in fear, because all the things are motivated by fear, when you make decisions based on fear, you're going to make a lot of poor decisions. Fear robs you of sound thinking. It robs you of power. It robs you of the ability to love well. Fear becomes the enemy. Don't manipulate them. Don't control them, and don't beg them to stay. And this is the tough part then. I think it was Medea. Y'all know who Medea is? Tyler Perry, Medea. I'll never forget. It's a clip that I love a lot. You can find it on YouTube. Medea says it this way: if someone wants to walk out of your life, let them go. Let them go. By you fighting them to stay, you're just convincing them more to leave you. Here's the tough part of love. Love knows when to fight for something, and love knows when to let go as well. But don't manipulate them, don't control them, and don't beg them to stay. All right? Number 3 tip to fix your marriage is the wraparound on that one. Don't be manipulated. Don't you manipulate, but don't allow yourself to be manipulated. Don't allow someone to control you, manipulate you. Why? Because when you do, you're not going to fix the marriage. You're letting that person know they can control you. You're letting that person know how weak you are. They're not going to, you won't be endeared to them. Besides, when you allow people to manipulate you and control you, it just says you don't respect yourself. It says you have no boundaries. It says that you're the one struggling and hurting. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. Now, how do you not do that? You have to look for it. You have to be aware of how you feel inside when someone says something. You got to be aware when people use manipulation tactics. You need a relationship skills a curriculum or program, a process that you live by. And when you live in healthy relationship skills and healthy relationship process, it's easier to see manipulation for what it is. We do that in our Relate Well program. You can learn more about that at relatewell.us. By the way, we also have a couples communication challenge coming up. Go to the Dr. Rick Marks Facebook page, business page, Dr. Rick Marks business page. You'll see the videos there. Go to couplescommunicationchallenge.com. Sign up during National Marriage Week. We're having an initiative of free classes on how to strengthen your marriage during National Marriage Week. And there'll be a special offer around Latewell for those that want to move forward. but don't be manipulated. Don't be manipulated. Now, number 4, no matter what you do, if you want to fix your marriage, always, always, always treat your partner with goodwill and respect. You know, one of the core principles that I live by is that we believe in our world that you should live by what we call the 4 protectors of a relationship, the 4 protectors of an us: goodwill, respect, humility, and you can't have those without humility. We refer to that as HREG. Humility equals respect, empathy, and goodwill. You know, when you treat people on a regular basis with goodwill, respect, and empathy, which requires humility, by the way, you are always living out love. See, Jesus was never disrespectful. Jesus never treated people with ill will, and he never sent the message, I don't care. That's a lack of empathy. Why? Because he was humble in essence. Humility is a very powerful way to live life. Pride, living life from pride, is weakness. Weak people live in pride. Powerful people are emotionally secure. They live from humility. And when you're able to treat your partner with goodwill and respect, even when they don't treat you that way, the likelihood is you're there's a greater possibility to save your marriage, to fix the marriage. Someone once asked me, why is it you treat people with goodwill and respect when they don't treat you that way? And I said, that's a fair question. But here's the answer. I don't treat people with goodwill and respect. Listen, this is really important. I don't treat people with goodwill and respect who don't treat me that way because they treat me that way. I treat them with goodwill and respect because that's who I want to be. When people are disrespectful, angry, or hurt, whatever, you see that I treat them with good respect because of who I want to be. My choice to treat you with good respect is not about you. It's about me, what I want to be, how I want to be known. You know, in the faith community, the Bible, it talks about loving your enemy. That's hard to do, isn't it? But think about it this way. If you change the word love to value, you could always value people. You see, all humans have dignity in essence. You might be thinking, what about murderers? They have dignity as well. What does that mean? It means that I'm not sure why. I'm seeing people say that there's no sound. I don't know why. So I apologize. Nothing here is showing that there's anything muted for those on Instagram. I apologize. I don't know why, unless maybe your sound is off. I'm not tech savvy enough. I've not had this problem before. People saying I can't hear anything. So anyways, I'm assuming other people can though. All right. So anyways, okay. So you can hear me fine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, you treat people with good respect because of who you want to be as an individual. You could take the word love and replace it with the word value. Example what I'm talking about. For God so loved the world. Love your neighbor, love one another, love your enemy. That would be hard to do, right? But you could actually take the word love and replace it with this word: value your neighbor. For God so valued the world. Value one another. Value your enemy. You see, you can treat people in a way that values them, and you can treat people in a way that devalues them. When you treat people with goodwill and respect, what you're really saying is, I value you as a person. I don't have to like you. I don't have to agree with you. But you can always treat people with goodwill and respect and be caring, and which requires empathy. So the center of who we are in our work is HREG. It's the center of who I am. It's how I transform my life. Not that I'm where I need to be, but my wife would tell you I'm a lot different than I was 20 years ago. You see? And so always treat your spouse with goodwill and respect, even when they don't you. All right? Know when to pick your battles. Respect and goodwill will tell you when to do that. All right. Number 5 tip to help fix your marriage. Ready? Respect your partner's boundaries. Some people do not like that word boundaries. If you don't know much about boundaries, get the book Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. Excellent book. Boundaries are essential to family systems theory, and boundaries are essential to healthy relationships. Boundaries let me know where you stop and I begin. We all have boundaries. We have physical boundaries, all right? Physical boundaries are when people start getting too close to you physically, something your brain goes, oh, back away. That's a physical boundary. But you also have emotional boundaries. You have the right to feel what you want to feel. And when people tell you you're not allowed to feel that way, or you can't feel that way, et cetera, um, when people tell you that kind of thing, somehow my Instagram just blocked off over here. So we're still on Facebook and YouTube. So forgive me about that. And so you respect people's boundaries. Why? It says I respect you. And here's the tough part. If you're in a bad marriage and your partner said, leave me alone, and you don't, you're disrespecting their boundaries. Michelle Winter Davis has a book called Divorce Busting. Divorcebusting.com is one of the most visited relationship websites on the internet. And what her research found was if a spouse tells you, leave me alone, leave them alone. If they tell you don't talk to them, don't talk to them. You see, you're already in crisis. The marriage is already hurting. They're moving away from you. They're distancing because they want space. And if they say, leave me alone, and you don't leave them alone, what you're actually doing, you think you're trying to save the marriage. You're not. What you're doing is convincing them, see, you still don't respect me. I've asked you to just leave me alone, and you can't respect that. You're actually convincing them to leave, to not reconnect. Respect their boundaries, which means you have to rein in your fears and have faith. Number 6 tip, focus on the positives in your marriage. You know, when we're in conflict, we tend to only see the negatives, don't we? Now, let me say this. Focusing on the positives and finding gratitude for those positives does not mean that I live in denial. It doesn't mean I'm denying the problems. What it is saying is I'm acknowledging those problems. And I'm acknowledging they need to be dealt with. I get that. But it's also saying, but you know what? There's good things in my life as well with you. And there's things that you bring to this relationship with me that I still enjoy. And I can be grateful for those while we work through the issues. Focus on priorities, not just the negatives. The tendency in conflict is only to focus on the negatives. You know, to live in gratitude is a very powerful way to live life. Requires humility, by the way. And brain research on gratitude says this. When gratitude becomes a way of life for you, that you tend to live more fully in the present when you live a life of gratitude and less in the past and quit worrying about tomorrow. Gratitude helps you do that. The more you live a life of gratitude, your brain finds it harder to stay in anger and fear. That doesn't mean you won't deal with problems, but boy, you'll deal with it from a position of gratitude rather than ingratitude. Number seven, to fix your marriage. Number tip, communicate and solve problems with your spouse in a way that the relationship wins, not you and not them. The central piece to our work in Relate Well is the idea that the husband and the wife are not the most important part of the marriage, that the most important part of the marriage is the third part of the marriage. And we call that us. The Bible would refer to that as one flesh. And when us wins, you both win. When us loses, you both lose. Every decision you make in your marriage gives to you or it gives to us. There is no other option. And if you value you, then the bulk of your decision will be based on what's best for you, but your decision can kill us off over time. You see, you've got to be able to live in such a way that us wins. That means when us becomes the priority, when us is the value, then you will work together as a team to communicate so that you don't harm us, and you'll solve problems so that the us wins. This is contrary to Western culture, which values individualism, hyper individualism. Is it any wonder that the national health epidemic in America is loneliness? It's not COVID. That's an urgent crisis. For the last decade, America is more and more lonely and disconnected, and each year the loneliness continues to increase across this country. That's right. You can go to a football stadium disconnected alone, and you walk out alone. People go to church alone and walk out alone. We're not bonding people. The breakdown of the family isn't connecting people. And the breakdown of the family led to more loneliness. And then basically devices has just exacerbated it all. You see, it's because we want to win. The higher way of living is the West wins. But you have to learn the communication skills and the problem solving skills and the confiding skills to make sure that you communicate to create understanding. And when you have understanding of the issue from both your perspectives, you've just established a relationship, because understanding creates relationship. A lack of understanding, I don't want to understand. I want you to agree with me, and I'm not going to agree with you, or my perspective is right, your perspective is wrong. You're not going to solve a problem. And you can't solve problems when you're divided. And so you have to learn to communicate so that you can solve problems and deal with issues so the relationship wins. And sometimes agreeing to disagree is a really good way to handle a problem that you just can't agree on. And the last one, we talked about respecting their boundaries earlier. Here's the next one. It kind of flows from this communication piece. Respect their thoughts and feelings. Essentially, I'm saying, would you respect their perspective? Did you get that? Would you respect their perspective? You know, sometimes I have not sometimes, always. There's an issue, but both you have a perspective of the issue. What happens in conflict is I don't care about your perspective, but you don't care about mine, and my perspective is right and your perspective is wrong. And what you're doing is you're invalidating their thoughts and feelings about this issue. You never invalidate a person's thoughts and feelings about an issue. You might be thinking, well, Dr. Rick, what if I don't agree with them? Do you understand something? Do you understand that relationships aren't based on agreement? Have you ever considered that agreement will kill a relationship off? If I force you to agree with me and you don't, but I force agreement, I've just harmed the relationship. Research shows masterful couples would rather have a relationship than force agreement on things they're not going to agree on. Luell and I, we can't agree on dog. I want one really, really bad. And she does not want one really, really bad. There's a few things that her and I don't necessarily agree on. But we have learned to respect each other's thoughts and feelings about issues. But we will find a way to navigate around those differences so that we win. And the only way we can do that is to respect each other's thoughts and feelings. To live this way is a very powerful way. But I promise you, if you do the things we talked about tonight, if you make them a priority, you can fix your marriage. You can fix your marriage. Yes, there's more things to learn to do. You got to learn how to forgive. You got to learn to create the understanding of the issues that got you there. But these are principles that if you adhere to them, you will safely navigate your relationship back to connection, back to intimacy, back to love. I have worked with a lot of issues over the years, people in pornography, all kinds of addictions. My doctoral dissertation is in the area of sexual addiction. I used to work with trauma victims, people who've been through severe abuse, all right, satanic ritual abuse, sexual abuse, spiritual warfare issues, and just normal marriage and family issues, anxiety issues. People struggle. Here's what I've learned. Struggling is not a bad thing. To struggle in life is called being human. Being human. What matters is not that you have a struggle. What matters is what are you going to do about it? I can't change the past, folks, but I can create a new tomorrow if I know what to do to create that new tomorrow. So you may be listening to me, some of you, and you may be thinking, well, there's been a lot of hurt. I get it. What if, though, you made a decision that from this day forward, we can't undo what has happened. We have to deal with the effects of what's happened. But at the same time, we have to create a new tomorrow. It's both and. You see, you can learn to heal your marriage by learning secrets to healthy communication. To get that, you can learn to heal your marriage by learning the secrets to healthy communication. Relate Well helps you do that. We have a couples communication challenge coming up. It'll help you do that. All right. And so we are committed to encouraging and inspiring people to live the best version of themselves that God wants, so that you can love deeply and intimately, and that your marriage bond, the love, the intimacy, thrives. And here's the key: even in conflict. You heard it. Even in conflict, you're living in such a way that you protect us. Immature people don't protect the relationship conflict. They're butting heads. Mature couples protect the relationship in conflict. Why? Because they value the relationship, they value the friendship, they value the intimacy. And they won't let issues destroy them as a unit. All right, it's another Relate Well live with Dr. Rick Marks. Thanks for joining in. We'll be back tomorrow at about 8:35. See you then. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.